To save my boyfriend David, I lost my right leg. After 2 difficult years in a wheelchair, I finally secured a spot for the legendary surgeon's last procedure before retirement. On the way to the hospital for the surgery, David's student called him. I know you have a family, a wife, but true love is blameless. The wind on the bridge is so strong. If you're willing to come see me just once, I'll willingly die. David's expression was tight. I told him this was my last chance to walk again, but he didn't hesitate to drag me out of the car and throw me onto the highway. I crawled 3 kilometers on the highway, bloody and bruised, before a kind person rescued me and took me to the hospital. But the laboratory sent word that because I missed the time, the surgery slot had been given to someone else. In my pain, I messaged David only to receive countless compromising photos. Mottled red marks, bare breasts, the background the hospital. My boyfriend had cheated. It was time for me, the clingy girlfriend, to disappear. Sarah? Where did you run off to? Since you already left, why are you coming back to find me? Let me warn you, you saved me willingly back then. Don't you dare try to cling to me and make me responsible now. Get lost, quickly. Do you know where this is? Who are you to dare show up here? If you ruin things for me, don't blame me for showing no mercy. I was wearing a floor-length gown, about to enter the banquet hall, when the man behind me grabbed my wrist. Hearing the familiar male voice, it took me a moment to register. It was David, my ex-boyfriend. Beside him were several of his students, including the innocent-looking woman, Jessica. I remembered when I was still with David, these students were frequent guests at our place. Because they came from modest backgrounds and lived very frugally, they were all skinny. Out of love for him, I extended my care to them, often having David bring them over for dinner. When the seasons change. I even remembered to get them suitable clothes and daily necessities. Just a few years later, they no longer had their timid, submissive demeanor. Each of them wore expensive gowns, and Jessica was covered head to toe in designer clothes. Everyone was clustered around Jessica. Anyone who didn't know might think she was some kind of heiress. Seeing I didn't respond, David sneered. What? Are you really so proud? Back then, just because I went to save my student, you just walked out. Why are you showing up now? Regret it? Oh, I just saw. You can stand now. You didn't rack up a mountain of debt getting a prosthetic leg, did you? And now you're thinking of coming back to find me, your old sucker, to help you pay it off? Look at yourself. You're average looking, average education, and you're missing a leg. I wonder if other men will feel the same way I do when they see your missing leg, so disgusted they want to puke. Sarah, if you have any self-respect, stop bothering me. There's no way I'm going back. Looking at David's contemptuous expression, I calmly shook my head. You're mistaken. Running into you is just a coincidence. I'm here for an event. I didn't specifically come looking for you. But as my words fell, the contempt in David's eyes intensified. He scrutinized me from head to toe. Sarah, you lie so easily now? Do you know where this is? This is Metro City's most prestigious banquet hotel. Today is the new product launch for the multinational corporation, Ethel Corporation. With your status, you have the nerve to say you're here for the event? Look at yourself. Do you really belong here? Saying this, a trace of smugness appeared on his face. If you can't forget about me, just say so. No need to make such ridiculous excuses and make a fool of yourself. David's voice was loud, and many guests walking back and forth in the lobby stopped to watch this drama unfold. Jessica smiled sweetly, her eyes full of triumph, but her tone was her usual sugary sweet, passive-aggressive tone. Professor's wife. Oh, no, Sarah. I know you and Professor had a good relationship, but you broke up with him 4 years ago. Please, this event is very important for Professor, and for our research institute. Please don't cause trouble, okay? I hadn't said a word, yet Jessica had painted me as the villain with just a few sentences. The eyes of the people around me shifted from curious to contemptuous. Seeing Jessica's eyes redden slightly, tears welling up, David immediately cold-faced with concern. He put an arm around Jessica's shoulder and gave me his final warning. I've said my piece, and my stance is clear. If you refuse to see reason, don't blame me for being ruthless. With that, the group walked into the venue without looking back. I stood there, utterly exasperated. I couldn't believe it. Just a few years apart, had these two taken acting classes? Just then, I received a message on my phone. Wife, where are you? Are you sure you're not coming to the new product launch today? Seeing Robert's teasing tone, I almost couldn't help but laugh. My fingers moved on the keyboard, but I resisted the urge to reply. Thinking about his reaction when he saw his wife, who wasn't supposed to be there, suddenly appear on stage later, I felt a rush of sweetness. Putting aside the crazy dogs I'd just encountered, I strode directly to the third floor. But as I stepped out of the elevator, a group of people at the entrance caught my eye. David and Jessica were standing there, surrounded not only by his students but also by several pot-bellied middle-aged men. Even before I got close, I could hear their conversation. Professor David, you're here for the Ethel Corporation new product launch for the new project your research institute is working on, aren't you? TSK, looks like Professor David is quite confident this time. I heard the new project aligns with Ethel Corp's res. Direction. It looks like Ethel Corporation will definitely be investing in your research institute. Exactly. Professor David, don't forget about our Apex systems. When the research results are out, our Apex systems must secure the license. A few sentences of flattery made David extremely proud, his face flushed with excitement. He didn't forget to chime in, of course, when I profit, I'll make sure you guys get your share. I frowned, trying to bypass the group expressionlessly and head to the restroom to avoid them. But as I moved a couple of steps, the sharp-eyed Jessica spotted me. She shrieked like a banshee, Sarah! Why are you following us again? David immediately fixed his gaze on me, his face was stormy. Sarah! I've made myself perfectly clear. There's no possibility for us. Stop clinging to me. I kept a cold face, intending to ignore them, but the man who had just introduced himself as the manager of Apex Systems stepped forward first. He grabbed me and pulled me to the ground, his face full of ridicule. Women nowadays are truly shameless. They'll even follow men here. Look where this is. Do you think a lowlife like you can come here? Saying that, he didn't forget to fawningly smile at David and Jessica. Professor David, Mrs. Miller, I've seen plenty of trash like this. Don't worry, I'll throw her out right away. I lay sprawled on the ground, the buckle on my prosthetic leg having loosened considerably. Even though I was gritting my teeth and trying with all my might to stand up, I couldn't bear the weight. Seeing the Apex Systems manager reach out to drag me away again, I quickly spoke up to stop him. What are you doing? Who said I came looking for them? I'm here for the event. But hearing my words, the man didn't back off at all. Instead, he looked disdainful. I've seen plenty of people like you. Get out of here quietly, or you'll be the one humiliated. I was being dragged by my hair towards the elevator lobby. The stinging pain in my scalp made my face pale and broke me out in a cold sweat. I couldn't even worry about my right leg anymore. Even though I desperately tried to pry off the large hands restraining me, the difference in physical strength between men and women meant I was still being dragged along the floor. My prosthetic leg clattered off, revealing the stump underneath the wrapping. The Apex Systems manager was startled and quickly pulled his hand back. My elegant gown was covered in dust, my hair was messy on top of my head, and I lay on the ground, unable to get up. In my peripheral vision, I saw a flicker of something akin to pity on David's face, and his left foot stepping forward. Just when I thought David might have a shred of decency left, Jessica grabbed his arm and gave him a soothing smile. Oh, Sarah! How could you be so careless? Just look at you now. Saying that, she walked up to me and squatted down, her hand lightly brushing my hair. She leaned in and whispered in my ear. Bitch! Why did you come back after you left? Always putting on a pitiful act, trying to make Dave feel sorry for you, huh? Since you won't listen to reason, I'll make you taste the consequences of crossing me. I struggled to push her hand away, but it was no use. Girls, you guys, come help me. Let's take Sarah to tidy herself up. David's female students heard her call and immediately grabbed my arms, one on each side, ready to drag me to the restroom. Sensing their malice, I struggled nonstop, screaming for help with all my might, but I was still brutally thrown into a corner of the restroom by the group. Dirty water splashed all over me. Ignoring the disgust, I looked coldly at Jessica, who stood with her arms crossed in front of me. Do you know what you're doing? This is illegal. You know that. Jessica's lips curled into a cold smile. Without a word, she slapped me across the face and grabbed my hair. Doing what? Break in. Gee, what law? Is hitting a homewrecker illegal? Is hitting a bitch who wants to seduce my man illegal? Didn't you know? Jessica leaned closer and whispered to me, the legendary surgeon's last procedure? David gave it to me. It's because I twisted my ankle when I jumped off the bridge. They operated on me, and my foot is now like it was never injured. Unlike you, you're still a cripple. You might never have a chance to stand up again in your life. I felt like my blood ran cold. That year, I thought I had missed the time, but I never expected that the opportunity one had secured was given away by David to someone else. Years of deep affection were misplaced. Even though I had no feelings for David now, I couldn't help but feel heartbroken. That surgery was the only chance in my life to stand like a normal person, not relying on a prosthetic. But David gave that chance to Jessica. Seeing me laugh, Jessica suddenly changed her expression. She slapped me several times across the face, her long nails leaving bloody marks on my cheeks. Bitch, wouldn't it have been better if you just stayed away? You dare come back and sicken me? I'll teach you a lesson today. Girls, what are you waiting for? Don't forget, you'll be graduating next year. Although she didn't finish her sentence, the unspoken meaning was clear. The others clearly understood, and despite showing some reluctance in their eyes, they still pounced on me, punching and kicking. In an instant, all I could do was cover my head tightly with my arms. I had no other strength to resist. Pain swept through my entire body, each impact hitting me straight in the heart. Besides the physical injury, a sense of sorrow welled up inside me. No matter what, even if David and I became strangers after breaking up, the help I had given them had been genuine. It seemed everything I had done was completely wasted. Just as I was despairing, the restroom door was suddenly pushed open, followed by a surprised female voice. What are you doing? The sound startled everyone, freezing them in place. I finally managed to catch my breath from the storm of blows. Jessica forced an awkward smile and stammered, No, nothing, Linda. Hello. This useless cripple, I saw her trying to sneak into the banquet hall to hook up with men. I was afraid she'd ruin today's launch, so I got angry and decided to teach her a lesson. My cheeks were frighteningly hot, but I still forced my swollen eyelids, which were almost impossible to open, to look towards the door. It was Linda, the head of Ethel Corp's new product department. At that moment, hope rekindled in my heart. Last month, when I went to deliver lunch to Robert, I had run into Linda in Ethel Corp's CEO's office when she was reporting on her work. She had seen me. She must know who I am and could surely confirm my identity and get me out of here. Thinking this, I found strength from somewhere in my body. I pushed away the people blocking me, lifted my face towards Linda with effort, and cried out for help. Linda! Help me! I'm Sarah. It's me. Seeing that I seemed to really know Linda, Jessica's face instantly turned pale, and her lips trembled uncontrollably. And Linda's originally indifferent gaze, upon seeing my face clearly, also widened in shock. I thought I was about to be rescued, but Linda's next words plunged me back into despair. She composed herself, turned, and put on a smiling face as she looked at Jessica. Oh, so it's Mrs. Miller. This person. I don't think I know her. Was she perhaps trying to steal our company's secrets, having researched in advance? Jessica's face relaxed instantly upon hearing this, and her smile became even brighter. Exactly. That must be it. How could someone like this lowlife possibly know you? You're Ethel Corp's project manager. She doesn't belong here. A turbulent wave crashed in my heart. Why? Why was Linda pretending not to know me? From their conversation, it was also clear that Linda and Jessica must have known each other for a long time. Before I could think further, I heard Linda's subtly suggestive warning. Oh dear, I know you were just trying to help, but well, this is the venue. There are so many people coming and going, It wouldn't be good if someone saw this. Oh, right, there's a small meeting room we reserved next to the lobby. The launch is starting soon, so no one will be going there. With that, Linda reapplied her lipstick in the mirror, smiled at Jessica, and smugly pushed the door open and left. Once the restroom was empty again, Jessica turned back to face me. This time, she had no reservations whatsoever. A malicious grin spread across her face, and she grabbed my hair, slamming my head hard against the wall twice. I could feel the blood flowing down my forehead, blurring my vision, but this didn't elicit any sympathy from Jessica. Bitch, still trying to put on an act? Such good acting. I almost got fooled. Thinking you're somebody important. Don't forget, you, Sarah, are just an old, ugly cripple. The blood flowed faster and faster, and my body grew colder. In a daze, I seemed to hear Jessica's voice. Quick, the guests are all in the venue now. While no one's outside, drag her to the meeting room. Then, I just felt my body being dragged, a trail of crimson extending along the floor. Perhaps it was Linda's special attention. Outside, there were no guests in sight, not even the 2 security guards who usually stood by the banquet hall entrance. I struggled desperately, using my hands and feet, but the 3 people holding me down gave me no chance of escape. Just as I was on the verge of despair, the elevator dinged open down the hallway. In my blurry vision, I saw the pair of black Oxford shoes that I had personally chosen this morning. I couldn't hold back anymore and cried out, "Husband, please save me!" Jessica and others seemed not to have expected me to still have the strength to call for help. They immediately fumbled, trying to cover my mouth. But it was too late. Because I saw Robert, who was just briefing his assistant, quickly off the person beside him and sprint towards me upon hearing my voice. Robert shoved away the people still holding me and carefully knelt down to pick me up. "Wife, how did you get here? Where does it hurt? Don't be afraid. I'm taking you to the hospital right now." Seeing Robert's eyes starting to turn red, I couldn't help but hold onto his waist tightly and burst into tears. "What happened?" Robert's face was cold enough to freeze. His gaze towards Jessica and the others was like a sharp sword. Jessica stood frozen at the sight, while the others huddled against the wall, not daring to make a sound. After a long while, she stammered, Mr. Robert, we didn't know this was your wife. We thought she was here to disrupt the launch. So, we just wanted to help Ethel Corp, give her a little lesson." Robert's temple pulsed with a visible vein, his anger overflowing. He delivered a flying kick to Jessica's chest. Jessica lay on the ground, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, writhing in pain and groaning. Just then, the banquet hall doors opened, and several people coming out froze at the scene before them. David's face turned ashen when he saw Jessica curled up on the ground. Without a word, he started spewing insults at me. "Sarah, look what you've done. This is Ethel Corp's launch. Can you stop causing trouble?" He helped Jessica up and pulled her into his arms, his expression full of concern. "How many times have I told you, there's no way I'm getting back together with you?" Robert's face had already turned extremely grim at this point. His icy words interrupted David's accusations. "What are you talking about? Sarah is my wife. Does she need to get back together with you?" It was only then that David took in the current situation, losing his previous arrogant and self-righteous demeanor. No, Mr. Robert, what did you say? Sarah is your wife. So you're the ones who bullied my wife, huh? Saying this, Robert gave his bodyguards a look. The bodyguards instantly understood, rolled up their sleeves, and walked towards the group. "Since you dared to lay a hand on my wife, you'll pay back exactly what you did." Instantly, screams filled the air. Even the few company representatives standing trembling on the side weren't spared. Perhaps the commotion was too loud. Linda rushed out, looking displeased, to see what was happening. But seeing the situation was not in her favor, Linda's expression froze. After a long while, she walked over. "CEO, it's time for the scheduled launch. Perhaps you could go in and start the event, and handle these small matters after the launch." I remained silent, watching coldly as Robert stood up for me. But hearing Linda's suggestive words, I couldn't help but bury my head in Robert's arms and cry louder. Robert frowned and shot her a sideways glance. What launch could be more important than my wife? Mike, send out a notice. The launch is postponed. He then held me tightly and comforted me in a low voice. Linda's eyes widened in shock upon seeing this, fearing I would complain to Robert on the spot. She preemptively turned on Jessica. Mrs. Miller, you have some nerve. How dare you lay a hand on our CEO's wife? If I had known earlier, I would never have let you. Saying this, she bowed her head deeply towards me. Mrs. Robert, I'm truly sorry. It was my mistake. I genuinely didn't recognize you in the restroom today. Plus, these people kept talking about a spy. For the sake of the company, Even though Linda spoke with apparent sincerity, the unexplained malice she had shown me earlier was still keenly felt. However, she had confessed before I could speak and lowered herself to apologize in such a manner, making it difficult for me to pursue the matter further. Before I could respond, Robert's hand patted my back reassuringly. Then his gaze fixed on Linda until she broke out in a fine sweat on her forehead before he looked away. Since you know you have poor judgment, take some time off and go to the hospital. Avoid confusing right and wrong. Don't let it happen at work too. I'm afraid you can't handle the responsibility. It wasn't until the people who had attacked me today were beaten black and blue by the bodyguards and lay sprawled on the ground that the bodyguards stopped and returned to stand behind Robert. The family doctor finished dressing my wounds and had left. Robert issued his final warning coldly. Regardless of which company or research institute you represent, Ethel Corporation will no longer be cooperating with you from this day forward. Make sure you understand the consequences. Hearing this, the faces of the people who had been lying on the ground moaning turned even paler. Ignoring the pain of their injuries, they tremblingly fell to their knees begging for mercy. Mr. Robert, it's all our fault. Please give us another chance. If the company doesn't get the license, it might not last until next quarter. Mr. Robert, I'm willing to compensate your wife. Whatever makes her happy is fine. Please give Apex Systems another chance. David tremblingly pushed up his crooked glasses, his eyes filled with disbelief. Mr. Robert, just for a woman. Do you know that our research institute's project aligns with Ethel Corp's current research direction? Are you saying that for a woman, even? Robert didn't hesitate, his cold gaze sweeping over him, but a mocking curve appeared on his lips. I almost forgot about you until you spoke. Right, from today onwards, Ethel Corporation will blacklist your research institute across all industries. All companies cooperating with you will be added to Ethel Corp's list of non-cooperating partners. Upon hearing this final judgment, David seemed to have all the fight drained out of him, collapsing limply onto the ground. Robert didn't pay him much attention. He bent down, picked me up, and turned to leave. But just as he turned, Jessica, who had been silent for a long time, cried out with a trembling voice. Mr. Robert, do you know that your wife is a liar? Robert turned a deaf ear, carrying me and continuing towards the elevator. But Jessica didn't give up. Instead, as if she had nothing left to lose, she closed her eyes and shouted. Mr. Robert, you've been tricked by this vicious woman. Don't be fooled by her pitiful look. She's actually malicious. Professor David was in love with her for 7 years, and she could leave without a word over a tiny matter. She's so petty. And she has neither talent nor beauty, and she's a cripple. She's simply not good enough for you. Jessica's words made me tremble all over. Yes, although I had never hidden my past from Robert, I was still worried. Worried that he would mind, worried that he would leave me, worried that I would never meet someone as good as him in this life. Robert didn't turn back to look at her. Instead, he said each word clearly, everyone has a past. I love her, so no matter who she belonged to before, as long as her future is all mine, that's enough. I held onto the man's waist tightly, burying my face in his chest, letting the tears stream down my face. After leaving the banquet hotel, Robert immediately took me to the hospital. Even though I said I was fine multiple times, I was still put through a full set of checkups. It wasn't until the doctor officially declared that I was perfectly healthy apart from some minor external injuries that Robert finally relaxed. At my strong insistence, I was discharged the next day to recover at home. What surprised me was that Robert, who who was usually busy, also unusually took time off. Every day, besides accompanying me at home, he studied cooking. After a week of such leisurely days, I finally couldn't resist asking, "Husband, why haven't you been going to the office lately? Last time, because of me, the new product launch was delayed. Shouldn't you be?" Seeing my anxious and puzzled expression, Robert was quite calm. "No hurry. Nothing is more important than your health. Besides, a small unexpected issue revealed that there are corrupt elements hidden within the company. This is a good opportunity, while I'm recovering with you, to deal with all those shady dealings in the company at the same time." At this point, I understood much more. Last time, Robert had publicly announced a full industry blacklist against David. Based on my understanding of David, he wasn't a purely academic person. Compared to education, he cared more about money and status. But a full 7 days had passed, and facing Ethel Corp's blacklist, he hadn't made any move, nor had he come to me to plead for help. This unusual behavior made me realize that this person had something up his sleeve. As expected, within 2 days, the internet was flooded with news announcing that State University's Miller Research Institute had successfully developed an AI-controlled prosthetic limb and would hold a press conference soon. I held my phone, reading word for word the features and descriptions of the intelligent prosthetic limb on social media. I was shocked to discover that all the parameters and functions of the so-called mind-controlled prosthetic were exactly the same as Ethel Corp's new product. It was clear that David intended to publicly release his findings before Ethel Corp's new product was launched. If Ethel Corporation later discovered the discrepancy, it would be difficult for them to prove anything. But how could this be? Unless a core member within Ethel Corporation had leaked the research data. I quickly turned my phone screen to Robert, but he didn't show the shock I expected. Instead, he laughed out loud. I was quite annoyed. "What are you laughing at? Our home has been broken into, and you're laughing? What's going on? Why are the Miller Research Institute's findings and our new product?" Robert laughed and pulled me into his arms, but there was no warmth in his smiling eyes. "Don't panic, I anticipated this. It seems the rotten apples the company has been harboring finally couldn't resist showing their claws." I gritted my teeth resentfully, unable to understand how any employee could betray the company. Ethel Corporation was a well-known multinational corporation that had always been very generous to its employees. Not only did it lack the intense work culture of some companies, but its usual vacation benefits were top tier in the industry. But even with such conditions, some people were still greedy. What I didn't expect was that before I could go settle the score with David, he would show up at my doorstep first. The day I accompanied Robert back to the company, just as we stepped out of the parking lot, I saw David sitting in the lobby reception area. My face wasn't pleasant. I originally wanted to ignore him and leave, but he quickly walked up and grabbed my hand tightly. "Sally, look, I'm successful now. Can you come back to my side?" Do you know why I succeeded? Because I've been researching artificial prosthetic limbs all this time, just for you. I know I owe you a leg. Now I have the ability to give it back to you. His face was full of what he seemed to believe was deep affection. Many passers-by who didn't know the truth showed moved expressions. But I was so speechless I wanted to laugh coldly. "David, isn't it a little too late to say all this now? Or have you forgotten what happened at the launch last month?" Facing my implied meaning, David acted incredibly wronged. "That's not how it was, Sally, you know I wasn't there. Last time, that vicious woman Jessica did everything on her own initiative. Sally, we were together for 4 whole years. Those irrelevant people were just passers-by in our love story. In the end, only the two of us can grow old together." As he spoke, he tried hard to pull me away. I forcefully yanked my hand free. "Get lost. Your success? What success? Success gained by cheating, deceiving, and plagiarism? David, do you think I'm an idiot?" His eyes were filled with disbelief, as if my words had wounded him. But this pretense only made me feel disgusted. Ignoring his persistence, I waved to the security guards to escort him out. As David was being escorted away by the guards, he shouted angrily, "Sarah, you'll regret this. That Robert doesn't truly love you." Who besides me could be sincere towards you? The more I heard, the more speechless I became. I rolled my eyes and turned to walk into the elevator. What goes around comes around. Their time will come. I wanted to see what kind of fate this kind of person would have later. Entering the CEO's office, I was surprised to see Robert sitting in his chair with a half smile when I walked in. What? Your ex-boyfriend came chasing after you, and you're pretending nothing happened? I glanced at him a little guiltily. How did you know? He pulled me over to the computer and then opened a short video that was being hotly discussed in the company chat. Just as I was stammering, unsure what to say, Robert pulled me tightly into his arms. Silly girl, he's wrong. I looked at him, puzzled. I truly love you, and I truly want to spend my life together with you. I don't want to be a passerby in your life. I want to grow old together with you. My eyes brightened for a moment, but quickly became blurred again. I could only hold him back tightly. Don't worry, he won't be arrogant for long. No matter how much he took, I'll force him to give back everything he stole. Robert's words seemed to be spoken just 2 days before Ethel Corporation began legal proceedings against the Miller Research Institute. Online trending topics about the Miller Research Institute's new product were replaced with terms like Miller Research Institute plagiarism. It turned out the reason Robert was so calm was that Ethel Corporation registered patents for all its research findings immediately to prevent anyone from exploiting the situation. David's previous fuming behavior looked like a clown walking right into a trap to everyone in the know. After a strict internal review, Ethel Corporation indeed found a mole in the new projects department. And this person was exactly who Robert and I had suspected all along. It was Linda. It turned out that David had gotten to know Linda through various means and had heavily bribed her. Initially, David just wanted to get a cooperation opportunity with Ethel Corporation from her. After Robert issued the blacklist last time, the two decided to go all the way, directly taking Ethel Corp's new product data and deciding to release it first, hoping Ethel Corporation would get away with it scot-free. Perhaps fearing David would bother me again, Robert arranged for 2 bodyguards to protect me at all times. So, I was quite impressed by David's ability to see him again. He must have waited here for a long time just for the time it took me to pick up a package. Sarah, please help me. Will you help me just this once? I know I was wrong, it's all my fault. I wronged you before, but you must help me this time, or I'll lose everything. I promise. As long as you help me get through this, I'm willing to settle down and belong completely to you. I promise I'll never speak to that bitch Jessica again. Hearing these stupid words from David, I couldn't even bother to roll my eyes. The security guard spotted David immediately and stopped him. Before I could turn to leave, a woman pounced on him like a madwoman, kicking and punching him. David, do you have any conscience left? What do you mean by that? I've been with you for so long, and you just dumped me like that? Are you even human? Jerk! I gave you everything, and you're still coming back to find that bitch Sarah. David crouched on the ground, covering his beaten black and blue face, letting Jessica vent. Heh, you think Sarah is still someone you can cling to? Her husband is the chairman of Ethel Corporation. Does she need to get involved with a useless person like you who's about to go bankrupt and be unemployed? I'll just wait and see what kind of fate a heartless jerk like you will have. Jessica finished her rant and turned to leave directly. David remained crouched there for a long time. Perhaps this was retribution. David's underlying male chauvinism had always made him look down on both me and Jessica. From beginning to end, he only cared about himself and his money and status. Being despised by the 2 women he had once looked down upon the most was his greatest humiliation. The Miller Research Institute collapsed faster than I expected, declaring bankruptcy in just 2 weeks. Not only were David's personal assets frozen, but his house and car were also used to pay off debts. State University fired him for crimes like academic fraud, accepting bribes, and bullying graduate students, which had been reported. And the benefits Jessica had gained in her studies and scholarships due to her emotional involvement with David were also investigated and her student status was revoked. Netizens had a field day with the gossip and cheered when they saw David's outcome. From what I know, David's misery didn't end there. Ethel Corporation, as the victimized company, filed a lawsuit against the Miller Research Institute, demanding massive compensation. This amount was nowhere near what David could afford. He would eventually be blacklisted, his credit ruined. And what company would dare hire a useless person like him, without credibility or integrity? Why, burdened with debt? So, his future would certainly not be good. After that, I didn't specifically follow any more news about David. Because I was pregnant. The night I found out I was pregnant, Robert lay in bed, gently circling my belly, as if he could feel it. Although he didn't speak, everything was understood. When I was 3 months pregnant, Robert accompanied me to the hospital for a prenatal checkup. We unexpectedly saw David being brought in by an ambulance, covered in blood and bruises. From a nurse, we learned that he had been humiliated while looking for a job. In anger, he had crossed the road against the red light and was dragged under a semi-trailer truck. After the doctor's examination, his legs below the knee had been crushed into pulp, and amputation was inevitable. Hearing this news, I couldn't help but smile. See? He had always claimed he would compensate me for my leg. Well, karma caught up to him and collected the debt.